Baker.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Rogers.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Sperry.
Here.
Councilmember Curtis.
Present.
Councilmember Burdick.
Here.
Councilmember Van Ness.
Here.
Thank you.
Will you please stand and join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This whole community is deeply saddened by the events that have happened in the last few days. If we could please just take a moment and bow our heads in remembrance. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. If there is no changes, the agenda will stand approved as written. Next item on the agenda is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for you to express your views on Kenmore related views. Out of fairness of others, please try and limit your comments to the 3 minutes. And this is not really a time for two-way dialogue. We will do our best, if some of your comments need answers, to have staff respond to them as soon as practically possible. There's going to be two opportunities tonight for citizen comments. There is one now, and there's going to be one later when we're actually dealing with the issue of pedestrian and bicycle safety. So you're certainly welcome to speak during the citizen comment portion. You're certainly welcome to speak during the discussion on safety. It's somewhat better sometimes when we're actually talking about the issue to make the comments. So it's totally up to you. Out of fairness to the family, we kind of want to sort of break what we normally do here and allow the family to go first, because this is a painful event for them, and I want to make sure they have the opportunity to be heard. So I have a list, and please, if I have missed anybody, please don't be offended, but I will ask for other family members to come up as soon as we're finished. I have a Ben and Tammy Shoop, followed by a Brad Paulson. And if you choose, if you want to come up one at a time, that would be great. If you want to do it together, that's okay too. I just need you to state your name and addresses for the record, and you can use that podium right there.
My name is Tammy Shoop.
My name is Ben Shoop.
And my name is Carissa Webster.
If I could get you folks to please address the council.
My son, Caleb Shoop, this is the picture of my son. He was involved in the crash on the crosswalk. He was a bicyclist crossing on the crosswalk on 61st and 190th on March 18th. He was hit by a truck in the outer lane who didn't see him on the crosswalk. He died 3 days later at Harborview by traumatic brain injury. And we thank the city of Kenmore for making this a priority.
I've tried for 2 days to organize coherent thoughts.
I'm really sorry. Could I get you to do your name and address? I'm very sorry.
Yeah, Carissa Webster, very close family friend. Caleb was my daughter's boyfriend for 5 years. And she wanted to be here tonight. She just couldn't pull it together. So. My brain is absolutely scrambled from the past few days, so I'm sorry. This is just going to be a really disorganized list. I wanted to start by thank you for making this an immediate call to action. I read over your plan, and I am so thankful that you're taking it seriously and moving on things now. Flags are a great start, but they would not help a cyclist. In Caleb's case, he wasn't seen by the truck that was coming. The only thing that would have helped would have been something overhead, like a flashing red light, that would have been a call that there was something more going on. He was a distracted motorist. He admitted he saw the other cars stopped at the intersection, just didn't register that he needed to stop because he didn't see anyone in the crosswalk. Flashing rectangular crossing signs is great. Our preference is for a red flashing light, something that goes on with a pedestrian push that lasts for 30 seconds or so and then goes off. No delay in it starting, no minute and a half or 2 minutes, because those run on. People get across, they get out of the way, pedestrians are gone, and drivers get used to seeing an empty crosswalk with a flashing sign over it. A 30-second red stop light. Please authorize many policemen on overtime, if that's what we need, to patrol the crosswalks and pull people over and ticket them for running through crosswalks where people are standing on the sidewalk waiting. It will more than pay for itself in traffic fine revenues. It will bring money into the city. It will increase awareness of the need to stop when someone is standing there. Tammy has stood at the crosswalk where Caleb was killed for 5 minutes waiting for cars to stop. If you need volunteers, you have my number. Call me. We will schedule volunteers to stand on the curb at those sidewalks and let your officers write their tickets. We are a community that rallies. It's why we have amazing schools filled with volunteers. It's why we have a fabulous park at St. Edward's. It's why we have a fantastic community that we have. We are a community that rallies and shows up and gets it done. You tell us what you need from us and we will get it for you. Raise our taxes. I'm happy to pay more on my taxes if it means my child can get to school safely. If it's volunteer hours to get work done, you let us know. We get it done. You've seen that. Family Circle rated us amongst the top 10 cities in the U.S. for families 5 years ago. We have great parks. We have the Burke-Gilman Trail. We have solid businesses, world-class schools. But we can't let our kids go out on our streets. There's a big contradiction there. Let's make it our new goal to be the top, to lead the way in pedestrian and cyclist safety. What better way to be the best city for families? Let's take these horrific accidents in this past week and let's make something good come out of all the pain. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there any other family members that would like to speak? If you will remember, please, to state your name and address, and we really need to make sure that you have signed up with the clerk.
Good evening. My name is Brad Paulson. I'm Sarah Paulson's father. Sarah was killed on March 14th at the intersection of Northeast 160th and Juanita Boulevard. And I would just like to say that I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Carissa just said. I don't have anything prepared. I just wanted to, I felt like someone had to speak in Sarah's behalf. Since she's not here to do it, I'm here and I've brought some friends here with me to kind of as support, but it's just, you know, it's been a very difficult week, as you can imagine, and it's unfortunate that it has to get this bad before action's taken, and I just hope that Kenmore City Council can see that some of the suggestions that Carissa just mentioned could be instituted as soon as possible. And I'm more than willing, and friends and family of mine are willing to help to see, more taxes or whatever has to happen. But things have got to change because it's just it's a very dangerous street. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Mr. Paulson and Ms. Shoop, our hearts really go out to you. We know what a tough time this is for you, and we're so sorry. And we're certainly going to do whatever we can to bring this community together. The clerk, please call the next person.
Ken Smith.
My name is Ken Smith. I live at 15816 70th Avenue, Northeast in Kenmore. I turn left on 160th Avenue every day to come home, and I turn right off 160th Avenue every day when I drive down to go catch my bus. Today is a very sad day, and it's a day in which I'm going to ask you for three things. Now, I've been in this council chambers many times. You know me. I'm one of the citizens who tries to participate. Not many of the people here come regularly, but they're here now, and they want to participate. We don't usually have dialogue in these meetings. We get 3 minutes to talk at you. In many ways, we feel shooed away. That's why there's very few people here usually. There's lots of issues in our city we need to talk about and have dialogue. And there's processes to do that. I appreciate what City Manager Carlinzi and the staff pulled together. It's amazing how much we can do and how quickly we can do it. I would ask for one additional item, which is to do a participatory budgeting process where the money goes to the citizens to choose and to propose ideas. There's $1.5 million in the Strategic Opportunities Fund. For those who have the computer can see it on page 14. That's the money that is intended for needs of the community, and there's a need right now. And there's a need to let the community be involved in how that's spent because we see the issues intimately. Thank you.
William Moran.
Well, I'm sorry to follow such sad circumstances. It's entirely different. Here it goes. I'm William Moran. I've lived in Kenmore for 30 years. Been a business owner, property owner. And as you guys are aware, there's zoning regulation changes that Kenmore's putting forth. I got a postcard in the mail, and I immediately contacted Lori Anderson, the senior planner. And I asked her specifically what's going to be changed, and she said, no problem, your renter, Pac West Flooring, will be able to stay in the building. And I advised Lori, I said, well, I have a multi-use building. I said, on the top part, I have a 4-car garage for repairs and auto service that I'm eventually going to lease out again, which I built that building for that particular use years ago. And Lori advised me, in fact, I just put $50,000 in renovations there. Anyway, Lori advised me that auto service, auto sales, marine service, outdoor storage, the list goes on that is going to not be allowed on my property anymore. After 30 years, they just want to pull these rights away and say you can't do this. You can do retail and other things. And I asked her, I said, well, what do I do about this? I'm not going to accept this. And she said, well, you need to go to the planning committee's meetings, which I did. I went to every planning meeting and met with all the counselors and Lori, introduced myself to all of them and Lori Anderson. After the third meeting, they advised me that auto shops and repair shops and rentals and a lot of other things are not going to be, they're not in Kenmore's vision. Well, I gave you a picture of what my place looked like 30 years ago when I bought it. I've kept my place maintained and it looks pretty nice. And, you know, that's an insult, and I don't think a vision of how my place looked cosmetically should affect what I can do on my property. Taking away automotive service and all the things they want to take from subsection H, subsection 8, would devalue my property, devalue my leasability, devalue my sellability, and create a situation where I'd have to do extensive remodels to the building just in order to lease it out. It's just unreasonable. I can't even believe that I have to fight to protect this right that I've had for 30 years. Sub-area 8, which if you look at I'm sure you guys all know where it is. It's 83rd to 80th, you know, on the far end of town. I feel it's discriminated against. I got the codes of what's new and what's old from Lori Anderson. I came down here and it took 2 days to go over these codes. It wasn't easy. And I found that subsection, zone 8, loses more rights than any of the zones in Kenmore's rezoning by far. They're on the list, they have over 20 rights that are going to be taken away from us. Some insignificant and some are huge. And we're not going to accept that. So, you know, all the owners, I've gotten together with all the owners in that area on Botha Way. None of us want the zoning to change. We want our rights kept that we have. I mean, they're willing to put a low-income housing in sub-area 8. They're willing to put the only area slated for a jail or for work release is sub-area 8. And they had sex offenders that were supposed to go there too, but they couldn't do it because of state law. You know, and I'm finding out all this stuff by coming down and getting the paperwork and going over the zoning. None of the owners know this. In fact, when I went to contact the other owners about this because I got nowhere at the other meetings, less than half of the owners were contacted by a postcard. They don't even know these significant changes are taking place. You know, you're talking tens of thousands, and the larger pieces of property, hundreds of thousands of dollars affecting their value on how they can sell it, how they can operate, and what they can do. And it's just unbelievable that we have to fight for this. You know, I can go on about, you know, other things, but, you know, I only have 3 minutes, so I want you to know that, like I say, we're getting together. We won't let this go. We will get attorneys if we have to protect our rights. We don't want it to come to that. We want some leadership here. We want somebody to come forward and say, hey, come on, you guys can have this. It's not going to hurt anything. You know, that's all we're asking for. And your consideration, and I'd like to meet with some of you one-on-one to go over this. And that's it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Dave Crawford.
My name is Dave Crawford, and my office is at 7534 Northeast 175th, Kenmore. And I've been in Kenmore a pretty long time. In fact, I was renting a converted chicken coop from Ralph Swanson's dad for $40 a month. And that would kind of give you an idea how long I've been around here. And I like Kenmore because it's a live and let live community, but it's starting to change. And I think the main reason it's changing is because of money. That's usually what it takes to make changes, is money, 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 money. And it's sad, but it's the truth. And, you know, Kenmore's got something like 40 full-time employees. You don't see them around a whole lot because they're kind of hiding out. But they're full-time employees, and that's what they're there for, is money, 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 money. And it's really sad because I don't think it has to be like that. It's just like this traffic thing. You know, that's a fundamentally a simple issue. In the first place, get more sidewalks. We need more sidewalks. Money, money, money. And there's a lot of unique ways to mitigate these crosswalks, as you've seen in other areas with the lights and whatnot, and I'm all for that. And I think we should do it instead of just talking about it. But I encourage you to just look at how much money this city is spending. Just go back there by the television set in the lobby, and they got the budget listed right there in that little holder. And it's millions of dollars. And it's millions of dollars for pet things. And I just feel that we should be spending that money for things that are truly needed and not for pet things. Because it's not what's for the common good. And I think we can do this traffic control thing better because we sure need sidewalks, and there's people getting killed. You know, it's just not a good thing. I think we all have to slow down a little bit, though. I mean, you start, everybody's getting in too big a hurry, and it just can go just like that. And you know, some law-abiding person, good driver. I mean, I've done it myself over here at Jay's Restaurant. Across into his parking lot, and God, there's somebody walking across the sidewalk. And it's just, it goes so quick, you know. It's just, we gotta do it for ourselves, because we could be getting hit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kaufman.
Ed, I think Quinlan, maybe?
Cornell.
Quinell, thank you.
Hello, Ed Cornell. My business is at 8218 Northeast Bothell Way in Kenmore. I have a garage and body shop that I own with my father. We've been there for 52 years. Noting that you've been a city for 16 years, I find it a little distressing that you now have decided that what has been our base of revenue and business all of a sudden isn't important and isn't desired in your city. If you look through that section 8 of where Mr. Moran was talking, the preponderances of the business on 522 are auto-related. So to say that it's all of a sudden not in the planning and not desirable, I find it a little distressing that long-term doesn't seem to matter, but short-term in the future does. Also, I don't even know why no one comes around and looks at what's going on. They say it's a beautification, but if you look across the street from us, you have a retaining wall to keep it from driving up 522. It's not an ideal setting, it's not a beautification, it's just a highway. The other thing is, the city always says how it's going to be helpful, and yet when you did the street widening, you did repair or damage to my property, and to this day, it still isn't fixed. So my level of trust for the city is very, very low. I've sent letters from lawyers, and I've never even had a response. No one's come to talk to me. We still have damages. So I wish that you would think hard before you change things that have been in this city for this amount of time compared to how long you have been a city. And your vision seems to leave out what made this community what it is. Thank you.
Mr. Cornell.
John Hendrickson.
Dickinson, 5919 Northeast 202nd Lane. First, I just want to give my condolences to the family and friends of the latest victim. I lost actually a girlfriend when I was 19 years old, 3 days after Christmas. And I know that pain. I was on the council from 2004 to 2011. And the first thing I noticed as I was a councilman, when I was driving down 68th, I saw the junior high cross-country team running down 68th. And then I saw buses and trucks going by, and I just thought it was a miracle that no one was getting killed. And I'm not here to say I told you so, but this council knows that I had raised this issue consistently. And the issue about our road safety and the hazards to everyone on our streets is about funding. And that the disagreement I had with this council, and you fought me on tooth and nail, is that we had funding when we were incorporated. And the council's position is that none of that money is for roads. Now, it's important to realize we only have basically 3 responsibilities, which is roads, police, and land use regulation. We do not do library, we do not do fire, we do not do the utility district. Roads is our biggest asset. I would read out of this financial plan at incorporation, and you folks would reject it. So I just want to go over it one more time. First off, you need to quantify the problem. To bring ourselves up to road standards is probably somewhere around $300 million. The cost, you need to quantify it, I'm guessing $2,000 per home. Okay? That was an incorporation. Where it is now, higher. The council has consistently, even though our financial plan told us that we had a surplus of about $1.5 million for road improvements, the council would deny that that was true. This plan told you specifically you had a choice. And they said in the executive summary, you had a choice between a full-service city hall or meeting your basic fundamental needs for public improvements. They said we had to have a lean core city staff. And they said it twice. With a lean staff, you can make early and serious investments in public improvements. The first thing they listed was roads. Then they emphasize at the end, we emphasize you don't have the degree of revenue that you can offer increased services. This city hall and public safety is a choice. And you made that choice, and you need to own that choice. In support of that, I've given it to you, and I'll do it again here. I put out a copy of how this plan said we were collecting road taxes. And I handed it out to the people here, about 25 copies. You'll see the council reads in green, and they omit the key language that says this money is for roads. And they deny that there's a road tax. They read right up this report, and I'll play it for you.
If you go back to the feasibility study, I'll just read a couple lines of it. In the end, the property tax implications as a result of incorporation are that county road district levy will cease to be imposed in Kenmore, and that the city general government levy will commence. We have never collected a road tax in the city.
I'll post this on the Kenmore Neighbors Facebook page, and you'll see that we saved like over $17 million, and we invested it. We had a total of $30 million surplus. You folks got in office, and you got enamored with being economic developers. And if you built the city hall, Kenmore Village was going to go, and you're going to bring economic prosperity. And that's a nice dream, but I think it's far from reality. And what our responsibilities are is what I saw back in 2004. Junior high cross-country team running down 68. They still do it. It's crazy.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
There's no one else.
Anybody else wishing to be heard during citizen comment? There is another opportunity when we get to that point in the agenda. If I can get you to sign up after, that would be wonderful.
Good evening, my name is Liz Ellis. I live at 19707 67th Avenue Northeast. Building sidewalks is just the first step of providing a good serviceable infrastructure for pedestrians. Having a plan for building those sidewalks that maximizes the money you have is even more important. I can't tell you how disheartened I've been to see that the very first leg of sidewalk getting built is next to Murphy's auction house. One of the most, the biggest impact on 68 is from their business, from cars that park along both sides of the street that have pushed pedestrians out into the roadway. I'll just guess that they were never even asked to donate, to contribute to the cost of putting in a sidewalk that benefits their property for that whole block. Look for opportunities to leverage every precious dollar you have so you can build as much sidewalk as possible, and then look at those standards for sidewalk that you have. They're a ticking time bomb. We need sidewalks that are truly going to last and not ones that look really pretty for the first 5 or 10 years. So I do hope that Kenmore really gets off the stick and puts an emphasis on pedestrians, building good infrastructure, looking at existing sidewalk, the sidewalk over here on 71st, where people are coming off the bus, walking by the Goodwill or St. Vincent's. There's holes in the sidewalk, and nobody's patched those. They've been there since the highway construction project. Let's make what we have work better and look forward to making sure that what we add is really an investment in the future and for safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ellis. I can get you to sign up, please. Anybody else wishing to be heard in this portion?
Good evening. My name is Bob Black, 8232 Northeast 166th Street. I have one simple statement to make. I personally have been a resident in Kenmore for 25 years. I've lived in King County for 62. I've driven through Kenmore many times. The issue with sidewalks is not a hard one to figure out. It's not a hard one to solve. It just needs to be done. The issue with the crosswalk lights, again, it's not a hard one to solve. It just needs to be done. If you go up 116th and look at the lights they put in Kirkland, they're extremely effective at catching your attention. Almost to the point of stopping you dead in your tracks when you see them. Try it. We'll see what I'm talking about. I'll be more than happy to push it button for you and walk across the street so that you can see them work. As a person who has, on 1 or 2 occasions, actually run for a seat in the city council, I'm also a little frustrated that you guys are taking so long to catch up. Again, this is not a hard problem to solve. Maybe you need to look up a ULID, that stands for Uniform Local Improvement District. They do it all over the place. From what I'm hearing back behind me now, a lot of these people are not too terribly worried about a little extra tax money. Basically, a ULID would require that for all the square footage you have in front of your house, you pay X number of dollars to get sidewalks. You know what? I've got 100 feet from my house. I'd be more than happy to pay for it. I'm sure a lot of these people would too. I'm sure that you would. I have 2 sons. I have 2 grandkids. Both of them have gone to Kenmore schools. And I'm kind of hoping that my grandkids are going to go to North Shore School District also. I have a lot invested in my thoughts for safety because there's been a few times that I've been presented myself in front of you and asked for something, and have been told, we will do anything just so that we can save one life. Okay, it's your turn. Let's get off the stick, people. Time's ticking. We've lost, what, 3 in a month and a half? You know, to me, that's 3 too many. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Black.
Mr. Black, could you please come second?
Sorry. Anybody else? Yes, come forward.
My name is Susan Gross. I live at 18710 56th Avenue Northeast next to the Aqua Club. Last July 23rd, my husband was hit as a pedestrian. He was walking from the Kenmore Library to our home, ended up in the emergency room for the day. Police stayed calm and a report was filed, and I think it was a distracted driver. She was charged. Needless to say, it was quite traumatic. He is recovered from that. I also want to point out that I frequently cross the road where the accident just happened this past week. I have witnessed many times cars not stopping. I've had one lane stop for me, and I'll start out, but the other lane just comes whizzing by. I don't know if they see me, they don't see me, maybe distracted. I'm not sure about that. Definitely at nighttime, it's very difficult to see. I was coming home this winter, it was dark. I saw a pedestrian, I was in the right-hand lane to turn up 190th to my home. I stopped, waited for the pedestrian. Cars on both lanes were whizzing by. I put on my flashers to kind of signal to them, there's a pedestrian here, stop. Everybody kept going. The pedestrian was motioning me to go, and I said, no, I'm waiting for you. Eventually, the traffic died down. She got to go across the road. I'm very sad to say that this does not surprise me, the accident that just happened. I have said many times that that is a very, very dangerous place, and that it gives a very false sense of security to pedestrians, because they see a crosswalk and they think, oh, crosswalk. But not very many people are stopping. The flags were there initially. They've been gone for months and months. I noticed them back there this week. But the flags don't really do anything. So anyway, I appreciate you taking this seriously, and I'm sorry for the families.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Ms. Joseph, I'll get you, please. Sorry. Anybody else wishing to be heard?
Yes.
Please come forward. There will be another opportunity when we're actually hearing this about pedestrian safety, so remember that.
Oh, is it okay if I talk?
Sure.
I live 2 blocks from where the woman was hit, or the man was
If I can
hit.
get you to state your name and address,
Marilyn
please.
Thompson. I live at 19312 61st Avenue Northeast, right after 193rd intersection. And my feeling is that you should put more lights in general, brighter lights for the nighttime. It's super dark all along from 522 up to all the way from between 522 and the 228th Street. It's super dark. I also think that you should have a light where we were just discussing where the person was killed at 190th. I think that you should change the lanes and make it only 2 lanes so that you can have a bike lane, and the bike lane should come up to 193rd, and there should be barricades so they can't bike any further unless you're going to fix the road, because that's the worst place. If you go past 193rd on a bike and you're on 61st, you're like nearly dead. There is no place for you to drive. It's just no place. And then I think you should texting patrol, and you should give everybody here today a little folder like this that they can put on the back of their car that says, both hands on the wheel. I've seen 20 people texting in the last 3 months on 522 here. And it's like, and they're sitting there, you can't get their attention. You're going in a giant truck going 20 miles an hour texting. oh, just freaking freaked out. My friends call me the texting police. But I can't do anything. I mean, you can't, we're waving at them, it's raining, it's dark, you know? And let's see. I read in this note that we got from the internet, my neighbor and I, and it said something about you can't make sidewalks unless you have new construction. Is that true? You need to have new construction for a sidewalk to be built? Okay, that's good to know. And then, let's see, just lights, how expensive is it to just put a light up? You know, one time I was getting ready to turn off of 61st, and I was turning onto 522, turning right onto 522. It was winter. A guy was crossing with his bike, and there was no light. There's no light on that corner. I wrote a note to you guys about it. Instead, there's the upland little tiny grocery store right there. The light is facing in the wrong direction. I asked her, could you just ask the grocery store people, the people who own the upland little mall there, could they turn the light around? I almost killed the guy, inches from killing him. I didn't see him. No light. So, I'm a nervous wreck, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Yes, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak.
One second, Mrs. Thompson, if I get you, please.
My name is Ed Ferrer. I live in 163 or 369th Avenue, Northeast. I've been a resident of Kenmore for over 22 years now. And again, my sincere condolences to the family. I live about half a block away from where the latest fatality happened. And if you look at that area, a little bit up north is a Lutheran church. And about half a block away is a daycare center. You can see some pedestrians walking their children on the outside sidewalk to and from that area where we had fatality. Over the past 22 years where I've lived, I can count about 6 times there's an accident that happened there. Both fatalities and fender benders and bikes. So please, for the sake of the human beings that live there, please do something. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If I can get you to please see the door. Anybody else? Anybody else wishing to be heard at this time?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Sarah Solom Hayashi. I live at 14615 81st Avenue Northeast. On behalf of everyone here, the 2 recent accidents, both Sarah Paulson and Caleb Shoop, were both adults. They were both at crosswalks. They both did exactly what they were supposed to do. In Caleb's case, 2 of the vehicles actually did exactly what they're supposed to do. There's stripes going across the road in both instances. There's flags on both sides of the road. The thing is, those 2 roads are not our average neighborhood residential street. But all of the crosswalk stuff that is there is only for a neighborhood residential street. What is there on these major thoroughfare roads, not even remotely close to being adequate. It is pathetic. They're not crosswalks. You cannot call, just because you put stripes on the road and flags on the side for the pedestrian, you cannot call that a crosswalk. And that is irresponsible, okay? Up on Big Fin Hill, our kids don't trick or treat in the streets because they're so dangerous. There are no lights. Several people this evening have already discussed we do not have adequate lighting at all in our streets. At all. These are our children.
How many more people have to be hit? Have you been hit? Do you walk on our crosswalks? Please, come and walk on our crosswalks. You can't. Time yourself. Look at your clock. How long does it take you to actually get across the road? Okay? How long does it take you to get across the road? Safely. Even when you're following all the rules. Our community is worth so much more than this. I believe that you take this seriously. But I can't imagine you've had this many people at your council meeting ever before. We're a very hurting community. And not just in Kenmore, but in North Shore School District, as Carissa Webster said earlier, we're willing to pay for it, raise our taxes. In the North Shore School District, we get everything done. Man, you just call one PTA mom, give me 20 minutes, I got it done. If you need us to put up those lights, give us 20 minutes, we'll get it done. You know, so that was a legitimate statement. We don't know. We as an entire city do not know what is taking so long. You need to act immediately before there is another death from a child, an adult who's crossing a street responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Please go to the clerk and sign up. Thank you. Anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Foster, and I live up in the Englewood area there, 6350 Northeast 156th Street. At any rate, I'm a person that's only been in this community for the last 13 or 14 years, so I'm not quite as storied as some of these folks are. But I have driven that stretch of road for the last 13 years, pretty much twice a day. And to be honest with you, I was surprised to learn that there's actually a crosswalk at that spot where the young lady was killed. So that's not necessarily, it was just simply because I was unaware that that stripe in the road existed and had driven over it many, many times. I've never seen anybody actually try to cross the road there, but nevertheless, that speaks for itself as far as this person getting killed there at that point. So it's obvious to me that we need to have something that makes it more obvious that there is a crosswalk there. And so my comments is really just to call out to the ladies previously to say that the crosswalk seems to be pretty inadequate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. We all really share your concerns. Yes, and so please, if we could hold the applause down, because we're all in agreement here. We're not arguing. We know this is important to the community. So, anybody else wishing to be heard? Yes, come forward.
Hi, my name is Brandy Hansen. I live at 19325 58th Place, Northeast Kenmore. I'm 2 blocks from where the accident took place. As you come up the hill on 61st, when I first moved in 17 years ago, off to the left-hand side, there was always a police officer. You can guarantee at any point in time during the day, he would be sitting there pulling somebody over. And eventually that went away, and they put in the sign that blinked to indicate your speed. At that time, you saw the officer. You didn't see the officer quite as often over the past 5 years. I think probably on 3 occasions I've seen an officer. That spot as you come up 61st, because you see the blinking sign, and I have made it sometimes challenge to see maybe how high that number could be. People are distracted, people are on their phones. That spot at 190th. You're not sure if somebody coming down the hill is turning right, if they're turning left. I have been a person trying to cross the road and it takes several minutes at times. I stopped going that route. I don't think a blinking sign on the street level only would be productive. I think it needs to be overhead. People are distracted, what's coming down, what's coming up. When a car stops to let a pedestrian come across as you're heading north on 61st, it creates a blind corner or a blind spot. So somebody can already be in that crosswalk. You're over here, you're thinking that gentleman's turning left on 190th. So I would please urge you to do something overhead for the individuals trying to cross the road.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Ms. Hanson, if I can get you, please.
I did the same.
Yeah, so that'd be really quick. The one in the back is for something different. Anybody else wishing to be heard?
I live at 6116 Northeast 190th Street, right above where the accident happened. And I would also like to support that 61st is not your typical residence street. No, a lot of high-density housing has been built down the road, and then with the toll bridge, the traffic on that road has increased incredibly, and people drive incredibly fast on it. And I mean, it's not just pedestrian accidents. Like the woman who just spoke, trying to get from 190th onto 61st, we've really stopped doing that. We go the other way because cars come around so fast and there's so much traffic that I really think as you look at what clearly something has to be done. But I'm not sure a blinking light. I mean, I think maybe you need a stoplight there.
Yeah.
And I think also, I know that I see the speed sign too, and I think people are going a lot faster than that. So I think there needs to be some patrolling of it. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mass. Anybody else wishing to be heard at this time? Anybody else? Thank you all for your comments. There will be an opportunity again when we're actually talking about the pedestrian safety and bicycle safety issue. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. And I'll second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the business agenda and pedestrian and bicycle safety. Mr. Carlinzy, Chris Overlease, our city engineer, and Jennifer Gordon, Public Works. Thank you very much for that report that you've given us. We appreciate the work that you put into it.
Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the City Council. I have here with me some of my coworkers. To my far right is Chief Jim Torpin with North Shore Fire Department. To my immediate right is Chief Cliff Sether with our Police Department. And Jennifer Gordon is on our far right. She is our Public Works Operations Manager, and Chris Overlease is our City Engineer. And I'd like to thank them for really turning on a dime this week and helping us respond to what's happened. And thank you for adding this important item to the agenda for tonight's council meeting. We are all devastated by recent tragic traffic accidents in our city. Last week and the week before, we saw 2 Kenmore residents killed in crosswalks within just 4 days of each other. In the last 16 months, there have been 4 automobile versus pedestrian fatalities, 3 of which were in crosswalks. These are not just statistics. The victims and their families are Kenmore residents whom many of us know and love. I understand that family and friends of the victims are here tonight, and we've heard from some of them. Public safety and security is government's #1 job, and we are taking this very seriously. I know that the city council, my coworkers, and the community are very concerned and care deeply about the safety of our citizens. And in the past few days, I've been very impressed with the good citizens of Kenmore who have contacted us wanting to help. Just this afternoon, I was contacted by a Girl Scout leader who said he has a troop of Girl Scouts wanting to do whatever they can do to help. And we do need their help. In fact, we need everyone's help. The safety of our citizens is multifaceted with the help and buy-in from as many people as possible. The more people who make safety a priority, the safer we all are. We need to come together as a community and have a serious conversation about pedestrian and bicycle safety awareness, education, and enforcement. As I mentioned before, we are taking these recent incidents very seriously and proposing a series of affirmative next steps to improve pedestrian and driver awareness with the goal of improving safety. We are proposing both near-term and long-term steps to help improve pedestrian and bicycle safety in our city. It is important to take a holistic approach while at the same time implementing short-term measures that can make a difference now. From the city's perspective, we can approach pedestrian and bicycle safety in what we call 3 E's: education, enforcement, and engineering. No one of the 3 E's can guarantee safety. All 3 legs of the stool need to be working together toward the goal of making our community more safe. And you will see all 3 of these E's in our recommendations this evening. So our near-term recommendations are as follows. Arterial crosswalks with no mainline stop control. And what I mean by that is arterials such as, or crosswalks such as the one on 61st and 190th, where they're not at a 4-way stop or at a signalized intersection. For these types of crosswalks, we recommend that we install pedestrian hand-carry flags on all of them, and I do believe just in the last few days that has been accomplished. And we need to replenish those flags and keep them replenished frequently and check them systematically. We need to recheck the lighting at these crosswalks and augment the lighting where needed. We also need to install rectangular rapid flashing beacons, RRFB. This is the latest technology in arterial crosswalk safety and highly recommended by the experts we've been talking to. And we need to do it at all of these arterial crosswalks that I've been talking about. There's about 11 in the city. And the developer, Main Street Property Group, which is developing the Spencer 68 apartments right across the street, they've been directed by the city as part of their project to install these RRFB flashing beacons on 68 as part of their project. And we anticipate that they'll be under construction in June. We also need to analyze these types of crosswalk configurations and determine whether striping or other adjustments need to be made. For these above items that I've just mentioned, just in the last few days, we have directed the King County Traffic Engineering Department, who we contract with for these types of services, to get moving on all of the above. And fortunately, King County Traffic Engineering understands that this is a priority for us, and they are moving on these action items. Enforcement, one of the other E's. We need to conduct crosswalk enforcement and continue to do so. It's something that's been part of what our police officers do, but we can step it up, and we need to continue to have a police presence and enforcement on all of our arterials in the neighborhoods like we have been doing. Chief, if you don't mind, if you could just briefly mention some of the crosswalk enforcement you plan to do in the next immediate future.
So I've instructed all the officers that one thing about being a police officer is that you have discretion on whether you write a ticket or you get a warning. So I've directed everyone that works in the city that there will be no warnings, that we'll do a zero tolerance ticket for everybody who violates the crosswalk laws. This includes pedestrians and vehicles. There's oftentimes we see people crossing mid-block, crossing against the lights, people cutting pedestrians off in a crosswalk. So everyone will start getting a ticket. I'm also going to have Chris Williams, who used to be our traffic officer in the city. He's a motor officer for the city of Cummington. He's agreed to come up here 2 days a week in the evening hours and work overtime for me. And he is a motor officer, so he can get on up on the sidewalk and actively watch the intersections and maneuver in traffic much better than a car can to enforce crosswalk safety. He'll be here 2 days a week and occasionally on a Saturday also. And that will continue as long as he wants to do it, and when he gets tired of doing it, I'll find somebody else. We're also going to, effectively just watch all the crosswalks in the city. We patrol an awful lot, but we're going to pay particular attention to the pedestrian and bicycle safety.
Thanks, Chief. As far as road conditions, including speed limits and channelization, we do need to evaluate and do